My friends, today in this video, which I am doing live on Twitch and then putting on YouTube and recording on my podcast, I am telling you about power questions. And these are questions you can ask that will dramatically change your life, that will help you find yourself, get out of all kinds of negative situations, depression, anxiety, fear, worry, loneliness, separation, just by asking these questions. So what we're going to do is talk about that while playing Gods Unchained in the background, which is my favorite game. And the first power question, and perhaps the most powerful question, is who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Why am I here? Is another power question. Who am I and why am I here? Who am I and why am I here? These are two questions that are extremely powerful to get you on a whole new level of thinking. Shift 42, just Google how to link your Gods Unchained wallet and go to that page. So if you ask, who am I and why am I here? These are really powerful questions because they take you out of thinking of yourself as just a body. And just a body that just has some story. And that's really what you need to reach the next level of consciousness. And by reaching the next level of consciousness, I find solves all my problems. All of my problems come from being fully identified with this mind and this body. And when I get out of purely identifying with this mind and this body, it literally solves all of my problems. So when I ask, who am I? And you might need to ask these questions over and over and over again. So the first time you ask is, who am I? Who am I? So the first times you ask and you say, who am I? Then the first answer you might get is, well, just your name and your, basically like a driver's license kind of answer. Like, who am I? Well, I'm just a body, I'm just a story, I'm just a mind. So as you keep asking these things, your answers may get deeper and deeper on them. Like, first time you ask, who am I? Then you get one answer, but as you keep asking that question, you get deeper and deeper answers. Like, who am I? Well, I am Jerry Banfield. Okay, well, is that all you are, or are you somebody else? Well, I guess I'm a father. Well, who am I? I'm a husband. Well, who are you? Who am I? I'm a brother. Who am I? I am a streamer. Who are you? And I've read of people online like getting themselves out of depression by just asking these questions over and over and over again. And you continue to get deeper and deeper insights until finally you run out of answers. At some point, you've completely exhausted the answers to the question, who am I? And you've defined it as purely all these human roles. Well, I'm a brother, a husband, a streamer, a father, a friend, a family member. Maybe one day I'll be a grandparent. Like you at some point you ask the question so many times there's no more answers. And then you might come to, well, I don't even know who I am. I literally don't know who I am. I'm just here. I don't know. I don't know anymore. And that's what you want to get to, is you want to go past this level of earthly identification and certainty about who you are. Because then that's where you get some real transcendence. That's where the magic happens. When you go beyond knowing exactly who you are, and suddenly you're not sure who you are anymore. Like, okay, am I just a friend or a family? Like, you start to get confused. Like, you know what? I don't even know who I am. And then that's when you start to get this magic that happens. Like, I'm not just my mind. I'm not just my body. I'm not what I've done. I'm not where I've been. I'm not who people think. Like, you realize there's more to you than all these human level identifications. And that's where the magic happens. So I've read stories of people getting themselves out of depression. I've firsthand experienced it myself, that just by repeatedly asking the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And finally, for me, I've come to the answer, I am. All I really know is that I am. That is all I know for sure, is that I am. Beyond that, I don't know anything for sure. You know, who are you? All I know is that I am. I am that I am. I am that I amness. I don't know anything more than that for sure. Anything more than that is kind of temporary. Like if I say I'm Jerry Banfield, well, that's who I am according to you, but that's not according to who I am to the U.S. government. To the U.S. government, I have a different name. That's just, Jerry is just my nickname. To the U.S. government, Jerry Banfield's an alias, but according to them, that's not who I am. And who am I if you don't know my name? If you've never heard of Jerry Banfield before, who am I? And this is the beauty, is digging deep into these things until it's so confusing. All you can come up with is, I don't know who I am. Like, I have no idea who I am. I'm just here. I just am. And you might wonder, why is this so powerful to ask about it? Exactly. Darkstar says, who are you without your costume? Yeah, one reason I love nudity is because to me, covering things makes you want to see what's underneath. So if you cover the body with clothes, you know, if you're driving a car, you want to see the person inside. Like you're looking over who's driving that. Especially if it's a really nice car, or sometimes if it's a total beater. You know, the more extreme the form of the car, you're like, I gotta see who's driving this thing. So you look in the car, and the car makes you want to see the person. And once you look at the person, to me, seeing a person with clothes on creates the desire to see that person naked. Because you want to see who they are stripped of the covering. And then seeing a person naked, all that's left is a desire to see the soul. And when I see a person naked, then I want to see the soul. When the body and the mind is gone, what's left after that? And when you know yourself as energy, as, if you like the word God, knowing yourself as a part of God, and really God can't be separated. So you are God. That's what I take was Jesus's true teaching. That the church intentionally set it up in a way so that they could profit from his teachings. Now, I love the teachings of Jesus. I'm a huge fan of the teachings of Jesus. I think the church essentially stole the teachings of Jesus for their own self-centered purposes to control and manipulate people. And the core teaching of Jesus is that you are all gods. That even the least among you can do all that I have done and greater things. That Jesus was here to show us what's possible for each of us. That Jesus was nothing special at all. Just another one of us who would ask the question, who am I? Enough times to realize, I am God. I am the Holy Spirit. I am the one. And so are all of you. So when you ask these power questions, and you can go around on a daily basis with an awareness that you are not just this body and you are not just this mind, there is something more to who you are. Then you're awakened to your true self. Like, to me, just this idea of this body and this mind is kind of a false self. Like, you go around telling people your name and thinking of who you are based on the work you do, but that's kind of a false self. That's not, it's a temporary self. And it's just, I love knowing who I really am. It's just magical to know who I really am. It gives me superpowers to know who I really am. Because a lot of situations are only solvable. A lot of our earth problems are only solvable by getting into a who am I level of consciousness. Things like poverty, things like climate change, all of these have easy solutions if we change our level of consciousness. I believe Einstein said that if you can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that was used to create it. So if you created all of these problems we experience in life are created from what I would call a lack place or a lack of remembering or understanding who we are. So if you create, problems like poverty, climate change, hate, war, these are created out of forgetting who we really are. Because if you look at another and see God, the divine, namaste, if you see that in somebody else, you're not going to go to war with them. If you see that in the earth, you're not going to destroy the climate and get into all this materialism. This is why it's so essential to look at who are you? Who are you? Who's the real you? And if you get deeper into this, if you get even deeper into it, it gets even more fun. So if you take it even one more level, so if you look at it from a who are you level, and you take it even deeper, it just keeps getting more fun and more exciting because you see that, well, who I am is not separate from anybody else, and that really I have forever. I am an immortal, eternal being. The peace of God comes from knowing that you're not just this mind and you're not just this body. Like, basically, all great things come from knowing that. And that's the peace of God, is seeing that who I am right now is very temporary. Who I am right now is not forever. Who I am right now is just here and gone for a moment. And that's where you get peace. That's where you can truly relax. And not be all scared and completely identified with, I'm just this body. I'm just this mind. All of our problems come from essentially being just stuck in ourselves. That I am this body, I am this mind, I am what I do, I am what I have. And not knowing that, well, there's a lot more to you. There's a lot more to you than who you think you are right now. And that's where life gets really fun. When I know that I can have anything I want, I can be anything I want because I have all of eternity. If I want to be an NBA basketball player, I can do that. Now, this is where you ask these questions, like, what do I really, really, really want? Like, not just little surface things like, oh, this might be nice or might be cool, but what do you really, 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 really want in your life? If I wanted to be an NBA basketball player, I could absolutely do that. The only issue is I may need to die first. I mean, this particular body is, not set up to be an NBA basketball player. Now, this particular body might be able to have a growth spurt. It was born in '84, which is 38 years ago. This particular body is not set up to be an NBA basketball player. But if I really, 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 really want to be an NBA basketball player, I can do that. All I need to do is let go of, either allow this body to develop into that, or obsess about being an NBA basketball player, and I might go to sleep and wake up and live a lifetime as an NBA basketball player. And that's where just this excitement and fun and passion for life comes in. Like, wow, I truly can do anything. I know when I go to sleep at night, sometimes I go live other lives, and I wake up back in this one. And one night I lived another life and I died in that life, and then I woke up in this one. And the first thought I had was just so grateful, like, this one again. Like, the first thought I had after I had this other life and I died and I woke up back in this one, the first thought I had was, nice, this one again. And to see that this life is kind of just a story that I'm living. This life is kind of just like a book I'm reading almost. It's not something that is done to me and I'm stuck in it and it's miserable and it's awful. But this life's kind of like a story that I'm enjoying right now. This life is just so much fun. It's a gift. This life is a gift I get to enjoy. You know, it's not a curse and I'm stuck here and it's miserable and, you know, I hate it. But this life is a gift that I get to love and enjoy today. And that comes from asking these power questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose in life? Who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing here? What is the point of my existence? And where I'm at now is that is a very much a working part of my mind. That is a working part of my mind. So I would call that God consciousness, that who I really am is God, and I am God having a temporary human experience. So who I really am is God, and what I'm really doing is having this temporary human experience. So that's where you get the peace of God that comes in. That's where you can really love and enjoy life and lean into life and just have fun with life and not have life be this torture session where you just hate your life and you don't understand why you're here and things don't make sense. That's where life becomes really beautiful. So that's why I do my live stream, is to help you have these kind of awakenings. Booty Doodle says, what's the purpose of time? Time is truly an illusion, but the nice thing with time is it's so everything doesn't happen at once. The purpose of time is so everything doesn't happen at the same time. And the purpose of space is so you have room to do everything you want to do. So that's the purpose of time and of space. And it's really, time is kind of an illusion. There's not, the way you'd normally think of it, there's not time. Time is just extremely elusive and temporary and something you can't quite pin down. You know, and time is truly illusory. And time, really, there is no time and there is no space. I used to think this, I had this horrible sensation when I was a kid of being in a singularity, where everything was all together and all one and all happening at the same time. And I really hated it. It made me want to throw up. But that's kind of what this realization is that, you know, ultimately time and space, you know, you are God and you are creating a universe right now. Everything else is just your creation. Like, you're just creating everything now. You're creating everything that you are experiencing is of your own creation. So your entire experience is merely your own creation. You are creating your own experience right now. You created time, you're creating space, you're creating everybody else. Like, truly, this is a reality you are just creating in real time. And on a personal, you might think, okay, well, Jerry, what's the point of all these ethereal spiritual concepts? The point of all this is total responsibility. Taking total responsibility for every single thing that shows up in my life leaves me feeling very empowered. And if I don't understand on a personal human level, okay, why did this show up? Then instead of being mad and saying that God must hate me and feeling like a victim, I ask, well, why did I do this to myself? What do I learn from this situation? So I appreciate those of you who watched this live on Twitch. And if you watched on YouTube or listened on the Jerry Banfield Show podcast, we'd love to see you come hang out live on Twitch when I film these.